Okay. Good work, by the way. Excellent work. Checks in the mail. Okay. Slating. Hello, everybody. We're the East Coast Blue Soul Rockers, and you're watching the extended play sections. You're in it, actually, so give yourselves a hand. You're part of this session. You're as big a part as we are. Jesse Williams over here on bass, Mark Teixeira on drums. I'm Jimmy Vivino, and this first song is called Fat Man. Now, and it was okay to say that when this song was written. It was written by Derek Morgan, who's a reggae cat, from a ska musician from Jamaica. And we readapted it recently, and I like it. You better leave my girl alone. Said you ain't got no girl. I need you to find one of your own. Won't you leave my girl alone? If you ain't got no girl, go out and find one of your own. Well, if you ain't got no girl, go out and find one of your own. Mean it now. Okay. Just a little bit about Fat Man in a world, in an alternate universe where the rich people were fat and the skinny people were poor. Before McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken and Dunkin' Donuts. So this is from the islands, and this guy was what they call a fat cat in the old days. And this guy, and this is what the blues, it's a blues because this guy that's singing this song is really troubled that this other guy's gonna steal his girlfriend. And that's pretty much what the blues is about. Today, from anyone's point of view, I think I used to work with a couple of old guys used to say, well, you know, this music was made to make people feel good by feeling bad at the same time. And the reason was it was for dancing. So that was Fat Man, which we had a lot of fun. We have fun with it every time. Now, if I could figure this iPad thing out, hold on.
Modern blues, right?
Yeah, this is modern, yeah. Yeah. I have an affinity for New Orleans because it's the melting pot where everything comes together. New Orleans, it's really where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should be, but it's in Cleveland. Close. That's a good choice. This is by one of my favorite bands called The Meters that I had the pleasure to see in a little club in Algiers in 1974. We took a ferry over, and it was exotic, man, to take this ferry over to Algiers and go into this totally wooden kind of barn sort of situation. And there were these guys, truly the Black Beatles up there from New Orleans. The Neville brothers, they were like There were two Neville brothers in the band. It was Aaron Neville, Ivan Neville and Cyril Neville, George Porter, Leo Nocentelli, and Ziggy Modolest. And I loved Leo. Leo's a good friend of mine now. And that's the wonder of people stepping out of your record collection into your life, and they end up being as hip as you thought they were. And Leo would just start. So cool, just. Then George would come in on his bass. Ziggy, have one more cigarette while this is going on. And bust out! Love slip up on you. Boy, you know it. Love slip up on you, yeah. Boy, you know it. Say it again. Talking about love slip up on you. Boy, you know it. Mean love slip up on you. Boy, you know it. Y'all be hypnotized. Oh, you're organized. You're gonna be surprised. Talking about love slip up on you. Boy, you know it. Talking about love slip up on you. Yeah. Boy, you know it. Watch out who give you loving too. Better watch out who give your loving to. For you said a day, better get things straight, y'all. on you. Before you know it, love slip up on you. Before you know it. Obviously, love slip up on you. I have to remember this. Say the name. That was love slip up on you. Like slips up right behind you. Look out. Yeah, they're not paying us. Who was that, Poland Spring? No, put that off here. Anyway, this is by one of my favorite soul singers named Howard Tate. And it's named How Come My Bulldog Don't Bark When Big Jim Comes Around. This is a mean dog. This guy has trained this dog for any stranger that comes around. Now, his supposed friend, Big Jim, comes around. The dog is licking him, jumping up, loving him like he knows him really well. Again, love and suspicion. Pretty close. It's an old story. We all try to fight it, but it's there. It's just, we try to get better. All right. 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. How come my bulldog don't bark when Big Jim come around? How come my bulldog don't bark, baby, when Big Jim come around? 'Cause everybody knows I got the meanest bulldog in town. Well, I can't put my finger on. I do believe there's something shaking. Can't put my finger on it, I do believe something's shaking. If I catch you cheating on trouble don't go very well, baby.
Not even dark outside.
By the way, all of these songs you've heard are on records that are unavailable right now. Seriously. They were cut so long ago. I started, they were cut on a record, most of them. One was recently on 13 Live on Blind Pig Records. I was on the Blind Pig label, and the minute I joined, they sold the label. So I got a little bit of that getting sold, you know, into oblivion where you can't find the records anymore. And the other company folded that me and Al Cooper made this record called Do What Now? And it's hard to find. And that last one was on that record. And you can find them on eBay for too much money. Don't do that. I think you can probably listen to them all on YouTube. Funny, though, you have to listen to the whole album or find the record cuts. But that's okay. That's all right. You know. Don't waste money on companies, A, that aren't paying me anything, and B, that the companies don't exist. So, you know, it's anyway, enough politics. Who cares about any of that?
So you brought down the record industry.
Yeah, we're gonna, let's not get the blues about this blues. Hubert Sumlin, family to me, Howlin' Wolf's guitar player, his ring, I wear the ring that he left for me with his initials on it. And he used to always say to me, Jimmy, let me tell you something. Never mind. Hubert was an innocent. Hubert and Pine Top Perkins, there are a couple guys in this business that are just like, they were grabbed up at 14 or 15 years old and, as they say, carried up to Chicago. Wolf carried Hubert up there, as he says, and Pine Top went up when he was really young, and they had a real innocence that they never lost, even through all the adversity of growing up, where they did, how they did, and who they were. They never lost this sweetness, and it's a lesson for everybody in not being bitter but grateful. And Hubert was. When the band was good, Hubert was good. He was the most honest, from the heart, what we call heart-to-hand player, skipping the head, which is why an idea would leave his head the minute he was thinking about it. But no ideas ever left his heart without getting to the guitar for all of us. And this one is 300 Pounds of Joy, a whole Howlin' Wolf song. All you girls think your days are done. You don't have to worry, you can have your fun. Take me, baby, for your little boy. 300 pounds of a heavenly joy. This is it. This is it. Look what you get. hiding behind his back. 'Cause you got a man that you don't like. Throw that cat, baby, out your mind. Follow me, baby, have a real good time. This is it, this is it. Look what you get. I'm the boy. 300 pounds of a heavenly joy. I'm so glad you understand. 300 pounds of a muscling man. This is it. This is it. Look what you get. Now this is it. This is it. What you get. This is it. These guys are getting a raise. What? They call that double of nothing. I remember everybody's had this kind of experience. I was in, I guess it was around 1978 or so. I was just 23 years old and full of life, sitting in a subway station on 96th Street in New York. And wow, man, I had a 2-bedroom apartment for $500 on Riverside Drive. I thought it was too expensive at the time. And I was sitting there, and you look across the platform, the train going uptown. I'm trying to get the train going downtown, and there's a girl sitting over there on the other side. And I'm looking at her. I think she's looking at me. I'm pretty sure she's looking at me. And I'm like, yeah, she's looking at me. And I thought, wave. Hey. And I see her wave back. She waves back. And then her train pulls up, and she gets in, and she's gone forever. And so then I just hallucinated this song. It just came out as one big hallucination. Some things take forever. Some things happen 1, 2, 3. Sitting in a station, waiting on my train when she smiled at me. I asked her where she's going. She asked me where I've been. I said I've been sitting on this platform, waiting on my train, waiting on my dream. I said, hey, Miss Mona, tell me, are you gonna? Tell me, do you wanna take a trip with me? There's a midnight train to Memphis. It's going to Tennessee. Leaving New York City. Get there in the morning, down to New Orleans. I said, hey, Miss Mona, tell me, do you wanna? Tell me, are you gonna take a trip? Hey, Miss Mona. See, I went on a bender, didn't have no legal tender to spare. Could not get no lender, had to hock my fender for my fare. And one more beer. Oh, I gotta get out of here. Been to California, been across the sea, tired of New York City. I gotta get back home, down to New Orleans now. Tell me, do you wanna, my sweet belladonna, take a trip with me? Some things take forever. Some things happen 1, 2, 3. Hey! We never played these songs before, so forgive a few flubs here and there, but they're pretty good, these two guys here.
I think that's a reasonable disclaimer right there. Now, to be honest, actually, that ending was worked out.
Yeah, by the Allman Brothers.
After about 6 hours of hanging and some imbibement. So we remember.
Where did we go? Where did we go last night? I walked into the coolest basement from a house that was over 100 years old in Brookline, Massachusetts, into a mad scientist's basement who had every amplifier. It was like a dream I walked into. Every amplifier, every guitar, every piano, a Steinway piano, a B3, a Ludwig drum kit, an Ampeg B15, anything you would want. Once you got kicked out of the house for buying all that stuff. I don't know how he had the house, too. Is he married? Anyway, what a great place. What a great place we rehearsed in. And we had a good time. This is from that same period. I think I was in California by now. And I was working for Disney, so I had to have some release from that. I had to have some reality check.
Is that what you call working for the mouse?
Yeah, because you walk through a gate with like Mickey Mouse figures on the gate, and every bench has Mickey Mouse on it, and you know, you're walking down Goofy Drive to work, and you're like, I didn't even induce this with any pot or any LSD or anything, and I'm like in this world. That's so. I went out and I found. At the time, there was a thing called blues bars. You remember those? People would go out and see live blues every night. Well, maybe in Boston area they still have live music, but so I just went out and started writing and playing and then working for Disney during the day, like incognito. I wasn't telling anybody I'm working for Disney and trying to write blues songs. Yeah, this is the same old story, just turned upside down and inside out. Used to live a good life, had a family and a home, respectable position. I was just like Mr. Jones, but inside me was a black sheep. To leave the fold, I was truly blinded by fool's gold. One more time. We can do this. Sorry, I got to remember my own song. I used to live the good life, had a family and a home, a respectable position. I was just like Mr. Jones. Beside me was a black sheep, itching to leave the fold. stared at my reflection. This must have been somebody else's fate. 'Cause the grass it sure looks greener when you're standing on the other side of the gate. So I picked up and hit the highway. Man, I was out to beat the world. I was truly blinded by fool's gold. Sometime a man gets so tired, same old, same old, same old. Sometimes I get to yearning for the way things used to be, but I can't stay with nobody who needs to stay with me. When it's too hot in the kitchen, I run out into the cold. I was truly blinded by that fool's gold. Sometime a man gets so tired of that same old. You hold love in your hand, hold love in your hand, it's just fool's gold. So you dream about a romance, well it can be bought and sold. Don't you be mistaken, don't you be mistaken by fool's gold.
Jimmy Vivino.
Thanks for letting us start again. We had to get that one right.
So Mickey Mouse was your inspiration, huh?
Yeah, he was. So that's yes, right? In answer to my last question? Yeah. You know, we write what we know, is hopefully. We sing what we love that other people write, and then sometimes it just doesn't work, you know? It doesn't work. I always wanted to sing My Guy by Mary Wells, but I couldn't. I loved it. I guess I could now, and it would be okay, but not when I was 9 years old and it came out, you know. It was different. But I think the first woman I fell in love with off of a record was Diana Ross. I heard that voice, and that was like, you know, I mean, there's great singing, and then there's sounds that come out of records that get you better than any, you know, technical singer could. And she got me, man. It was great. So I bought that record, Where Our Love Go, and I loved it. Feel that. It was so like a Four Seasons record to me. It was like that Bob Crew hand stomping and foot clapping. And so anyway, you get to writing your own songs. And this is in its own way about something that we all go through. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Keep on tap dancing back there, man. I love it. Sometimes you need a little something, need a little something more. Nothing you can buy at your 5 and dime or your local convenience store. You got an itching for it. You got an itching for it. Itching for something, boy, that you can't scratch. Might be a little bit of moonshine, might be a railroad gin, might be a little bit of China white off a boat that just come in, but you got an itching for it. Itching for it. Itching for something, boy, that you can't scratch. Might be a little piece of candy, might be a little bit of cake. Your nose is open, your mouth is dry, there's only so much you can take. You got an itching for it, itching for it. Itching for something, boy, you can't scratch. Sometimes you do a little evil, call your backdoor friend. Every time a husband's sliding out, you go slipping in, 'cause you got an itching for it, itching for it. Itching for something, boy, you can't scratch. Sometimes this life is a card game, gamble from day to day. Sometimes you hold a winning hand, ain't got no dough left to play. You got an itch. You got a. Sometimes over here, Marlon Brando, it's. You got a. You got a. You got a. Got an itch for. build my house right next to you. Can you come out sometime? We can still kiss this through the blind. Can you come out in the front? Listen to my heart go. Bum, 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 bum. Listen to my heart go. Bum, bum, bum. Listen to my heart go. Every day I get my cue. Get on the bus that takes me to you. I'm so nervous I just sit and smile. Your house is only another mile. Thank you, driver, for getting me here. Don't expect me to pay no fare. I don't want to cause no fuss. Just want to ride my magic bus. Just want to ride my magic bus. Magic bus. Magic bus. Magic bus. Get the water. Now you know where I stole Miss Mona from. It's the other Mona. Switching.
Switch information.
I'll bet at least this gentleman with the camera who's writing down the songs, and I appreciate that, the historian in the group, knows when I talk about the Harry Smith collection, what I'm talking about. But you're too young, maybe. Well, yeah. See, you're under 60, right? So you don't know. But the Harry Smith, they compiled for the Library of Congress all of these songs. They went out. Alan Lomax went out into the field with a wire recorder and recorded all these people that they didn't. They had regular jobs. If they had a regular job, it was a regular job. Hold on one second. While I turn on, hang on. And the Harry Smith collection, just guys like Ramblin' Thomas, they found Leadbelly back then in a prison farm. Alan Lomax found him in a prison farm doing time for God knows what. For something, whether it was what he was accused for, I don't know. But Leadbelly, he entertained the warden. They would take him out of the camp and bring him over for house parties and stuff, and so he got out through his music. everybody didn't get out, but I love this Ramblin' Thomas song called Poor Boy, Long Way From Home. This is about a fisherman. Oh. 10 seconds, okay. Good, I can tune better. Okay. This is about a fisherman that took his boat from the Gulf in Louisiana to Texas to fish up in Texas, and they got him. They got him, and they questioned him. What are you doing here? You know, what are you doing in Texas? You know, and this was Ramblin' Thomas. I was down in Louisiana, doing as I please. Now I'm down in Texas, I gotta work all day. Poor boy, poor boy. This poor boy's a long way from home. If your home's in Louisiana, boy, what you doing over here? I said my home ain't in Texas, and I sure don't care. Poor boy, this poor boy a long way from home. I don't care if the boat don't never land. I like to stay on the water long as any man. Poor boy, this poor boy a long way from home. come a-rockin', just like a drunken man. And my home's on the water, and I sure don't like land. Oh boy, oh boy, this road but a long way from home. Oh boy, oh boy, this road but a long way from home. Oh boy, oh boy, this road but a long way from home. Ramblin' Thomas. Thank you for that. Good morning. I'm slated now. I've been slated. Come on, man. Chair. I'm sorry. Let's get rid of this chair. It's great to be able to stop, man. Sorry.
Helps me out.
Don't think I don't know that. The Muddy Waters used to say, G the key.
People's key.
Oh yeah. Something getting wrong with my little machine. Oh yeah. Something getting wrong with my little machine. I'll try to start up in the morning. She got a standard carburetor, but I believe that little girl burned some bad gasoline. so fine, riding round in your Mercury 49. I'm crazy about a Mercury, crazy about a Mercury. I'm gonna buy me a Mercury, I'm cruising up and down the road. My baby went out, she didn't stay long. Bought herself a Mercury, come a cruising on home. I'm crazy about a Mercury, I'm crazy about a Mercury. I'm gonna buy me a Mercury, I'm cruising up and down the road. Tell you what I do, go downtown, buy a Mercury or two. Crazy about a Mercury, I'm gonna buy me a Mercury, I'll cruise it up and down the road. I'm gonna buy me a Mercury, I'll cruise it up and down the road. Just keep going.
Still light out.
Yeah, yeah. Some little Walter song for y'all. That's all I need to say. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. No kidding. I'm ready to fight. I've been looking for my baby all night. If I get her in my sight, boom, boom, out go the lights. Never been so mad before. I found out you weren't mine no more. If I get her in my sight, out go the lights. out go the lights. Treat my baby fair. Now she's getting all in my hair. If I get her in my sight, boom, boom, out go the lights. Somebody knew the words. It wasn't me. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, something completely different. Yeah. That was, boom, boom, out go the lights. Walter had a gun and he used it, man. He found a guy, he used to work with this cat, Yank Rochelle, he was a mandolin player. And he was from Brownsville, Tennessee. And he moved up to Chicago and played with Johnny Young and with Sonny Boy Williamson I and all those guys. And he told me that him and a cat named Hammy Nixon used to go out and make believe they were Little Walter and Muddy Waters to make money. He said, because nobody knew what anybody looked like. He said, they wouldn't put no blues man's picture on any album. You ever see them Lightning Hopkins albums from the 50s? There's some white lady by a stream. Lightning Hopkins plays the blues, and she's got her foot in the water, and she has a polka dot dress on, red bow in her hair, looking a little like Minnie Mouse. And so he said nobody knew what anybody looked like. So man, we made a pile of bread. He said I was Muddy Waters and Hammy was Little Walter. And there was a story that Little Walter found out about guys like this. He used to go after him with his gun, and say, man, give me my money that you made with my name, and he'd get his money back. And so that was a Little Walter song. When that boom, boom, out, the lights went out for sure quite a few times. Okay, we're back. Want to take a minute to talk about, I said before, when people step out of your record collection into your life, and they're just as wonderful as you thought, and even if they're not, it doesn't hurt their records. So, you can meet somebody on their worst day and then walk away thinking the wrong thing, or you may be right. But it might have been you, too. Don't forget. It might not have been them at all. It might have been you. But Johnny Winter, one of the sweetest people ever. And, he brought Muddy Waters back to us in a big way, when everyone was forgetting about Muddy. So I knew Muddy at that time and his people and his family and his band, the band and my friends works for him. And I met Bob Margolin back then, and Pine Top used to let me sit down and play piano if I brought him a Hennessy. And he'd let me play the top of the piano, and he would play the bottom of the piano. And Muddy would look over, and it's okay, I had to buy Muddy a bottle of champagne for that, but it was okay. No, seriously, though, Johnny Winter was responsible for a lot in my life. So we're going to play a Johnny Winter song now, and then just morph into everything I ever saw at the Fillmore East in one shot. I used to sneak out when I was 13 years old in 1968 and tell my parents I was going to the Yankee game. And then we have to go out and during intermission between bands and say, the game's going into extra innings. They didn't even think of turning the TV on. It was okay. I'm kind of glad we were out of the house. And now look at you. Now look, what happened? Okay. Won't believe a word you said. Can't stand the way you do. Lord, I'm on my way, coming home to you. Lord, that's not right. This is the last you'll see me going down. Stayed out last night, all the night before. I ought to change that locker, woman on my door. Lord, that's not right. This is the last you see me going down. Got my ticket, trunk's already gone. You ought to know by that I ain't gonna be here long. Lord, that's not right. much point in carrying on. Quit you, babe, a long time ago. I wouldn't be here now, people, down on the killing floor. You gotta follow my first mind. You gotta follow my first mind. Be here now, people, my second time. I should have been gone when my friend said, come on to Mexico with me. Gone. My friend said, I wouldn't be here on the killing floor. Floor. Yeah. Thank you. That was Fast Life Rider, followed by Whiskey Train by Procol Harum, followed by Killing Floor by Howlin' Wolf, Chester Burnett.
Come on, Jimmy Vivino. Give it
Jesse
up.
Williams, Mark Teixeira, thank you.
Talk about coming off the record.
Mind if I get a swig here of water? We're going to do a song by the poet of the blues, Percy Mayfield. He wrote Hit the Road Jack and a lot of other great songs, but he was really one of the poets of the blues and wrote these songs in the late 40s and 50s, and Ray Charles did a lot of them. And this one's, it's a deep song, but I like playing it. I get it. How do you work this thing? I'm laying here wondering which way to go. My baby left me like she did before. I'm so confusing. I'm so alone. I can't live without my baby. Still my baby's gone. I got up early one morning, about the break of day. I saw the taxi when it pulled away. Had my baby. I'm so alone. I can't live without my baby. Still my baby gone. I'm going down to the river and go out with the tide. Without my baby, life is suicide. I can't continue. In this world all alone, I can't live without my baby. Still, my baby gone. My baby gone. Hey! Yeah.
Can we do it again? Yeah. Shape I'm in.
Gotta do this for
$5 at least. Yeah, for me.
It's okay.
That's the only song I've played 100 times too.
I'm gonna do something for Levon Helm, my dear friend, who late in life had more success than most people have their whole entire lives. And the last encore of his act was beautiful. I lived about. He used to tell me you could hit my house with a rock, you throw it from your place, you know. So I used to go and hang with Levon, and he got sick. And throat cancer, and he went through a lot of surgeries and radiation and everything. And then we put bands together. We kept working together. We kept doing things. We started a Midnight Ramble thing that did really well up at his house. And he got 3 Grammys in the last 10 years on that last leg of his life. The band didn't get any. I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it? At that time, there's so many people that touch you, and then there's some that just keep on touching you, and Levon's one of them. Go out yonder, peace in the valley. Go downtown, there's a rumble in the alley. Oh, you don't know the shape I'm in. Has anybody seen my lady? This living alone will drive me crazy. Oh, you don't know the shape I'm in. I'll just be looking for my maker, and I hear that's where she's been. Oh, out of 9 lives, I spent 7. Now how in the world can you get to heaven? Oh, you don't know the shape I'm in. your brother. Looks like it's one or the other. Oh, you don't know the shape I'm in. Got two young kids, might start a ruckus. You know they feel they're trying to shuck her. Oh, you don't know the shape I'm in. Thanks so much. Really a lot of fun. This is the first time we played together like this, so thanks for being there for us. We promise to get better.
Are you guys talking about doing another one? No. No.
Yeah, we can. If you want. We'll get one right.
Hey, Billy? Billy? Not so quick, Bill. Somebody get Billy. Bill, you're not done yet.
No, we just ask them to not use it. What should we do?
I don't think we're done, Bill. You guys want another one? Do we take a vote?
Well, we're going to keep playing while you guys, load out and clean up and everything. We got 2 weeks of touring and we need some rehearsing.
Yeah. Obviously. trying to remember what we did yesterday. Let me just go through my list here.
I do Can't Find My Way Home.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
It's the only one I can think of.
Okay. Come down off your throne, leave your body alone. Somebody must change. You are the reason I have waited all these years. Somebody hold the key. Well, I'm leaving and I just ain't got the time. I know I'm wasted and I can't find my way home. Come down on your own, leave your body alone. Somebody hold the key. You are the reason I have waited so long. Somebody gotta change. Well, I'm and I just ain't got time. Wasted and I can't find my way. But I can't That's a tribute to Waze, everybody. No, seriously, as we were riding through like the back roads of this town, I said, what the hell would we do 20 years ago if someone told us how to get here? I don't know. We're men, so we couldn't stop for directions.
We'd be sitting in more traffic.
That's it. We have like, we put a 2-week tour together, and this is the first time we played other than a little rehearsal. So thanks for having us. We should be okay, I think. Thank you.
All right, one more time. Here we go, Jimmy Vivino, one more time. That was the best Tuesday I've had in a long time. Damn. Make sure you get a poster. Stick around for the interview. They're gonna tell some great stories, I'm sure. Grab a poster. See you in a bit.
Check that mic, Jimmy.
Yeah, nice shirt. I think you can get these here.
You can. You can definitely get those here. It looks familiar.
It's like a Grateful Dead desert in a desert shirt.
Well, the skull was our logo for many, many. It still is our logo. But
An Eagles record or something.
Right, when I was a kid, we used to, you saw this, you go under your desk.
that's right.
Remember? I mean,
We need them again now.
you know what? Your chances were just as good under the desk as anywhere else, meaning there were no chances.
It was as good under your desk as it was in a fallout
It was great. That
shelter.
guy would come in with a film strip and it would show you, put your hands over your head, go under your desk.
Jerry, go ahead and slate this, please.
Yeah. Got your microphone?
He's talking into his phone.
Okay.
There we go. Great show tonight, buddy.
Oh, thanks. Well,
So this was the first, the first?
yeah, this was the first gig.
Besides rehearsal.
Well, we rehearsed for a long time, really like 5 hours straight.
Was that a rehearsal?
I don't know, we had some Thai food.
It was
And,
a groove. It was a groove and a hang, is what it was.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we just went over stuff, and we didn't play any of that stuff tonight, but and that's my usual way, is we always like. I like to think that we were talking backstage about it, like blues isn't like Shakespeare or Beethoven or something that should be played note for note like the record, because now that we're so privy to outtakes of everything and we hear 10 different takes and you realize that, it went 10 different ways. Sonny Boy Williamson was a street poet who just riffed, like when he sang a song, it went, every time he sang a song, the lyrics were different, so it was always, it was never meant to be somebody sitting there going, well, Pee Wee Crayton, when he played that riff, he played it, on a different position, well, no, because then it's not the blues, and it's, that element of swing and feel are the only things that we should co-opt, is the
true.
feel.
Yeah, that's true of a lot of different styles of music. You can have a bunch of bluegrass guys sitting in a circle, and you can, the shell of what that song is.
Yeah.
But everybody goes and does their own.
Well, that's the
thing
whole
with it.
thing about everything being connected to jazz.
Right.
Is that there's a a format, a sort of a guideline to where you're going to work within, and then in the middle you're supposed to just go.
That's a very important word that we need to think. Spontaneity.
Spontaneity, yeah.
And that's one of the beautiful things about playing with Jimmy. Mark and I always talk about this because we played a bunch in different settings. But this guy is spontaneous, and he's got encyclopedic knowledge of music, so he draws from that. But the spontaneity and the listening, that's where it's really fun, and that's the tradition of the blues, really.
Well, yeah, for sure. And scarfing up probably one of the best rhythm sections in New
Well,
England.
I mean, look,
In this room tonight.
I was lucky. I was lucky because when Al Cooper moved up here and he needed to find musicians, he went through quite a few before he found these two guys. And then once he had them all, then I took them. And
that's
no,
the way
really,
it
we
should be.
we have a band together, Al and Jesse and Mark and I. That Al is kind of retired now completely. He's doing radio shows at home for like satellite radio, and he's putting all his record collection and his history into these shows. So we couldn't even get him to come out here tonight. So it's okay. I got these guys in the divorce.
You did okay.
Yeah. It was a good. I got the kids.
It's better than the house, I hope.
I got the kids. He raised
Jimmy,
them
you
up
did
real
good.
good. I didn't have to pay for their school.
It's a generational thing, because Al's a generation ahead of Jimmy,
Yeah.
and Jimmy's a generation ahead of us. And
And you're all a generation ahead
But
of
then
me.
I would
so
see
I'm-
these
I'm
guys
good.
like playing with Duke and playing with all my other, New England heroes. There was something up here and into Rhode Island and Massachusetts that was special in the 70s
You know what it
and
was?
80s.
You know what it was? It was called Room Full of Blues. It was the
Well, yeah.
school. It was the school.
I went, and I tell Duke every time
for
I see
everyone.
him, man, that I went. I remember going. I used to go in like the '80s to see the Thunderbirds whenever they came to town, one night, this B.B. King looking guy in a suit, you know, with a big arch top, came out with this big band, and I was like, jaw dropping, how good
Yeah.
it was. Every one of them. Porky was there, I guess, and all those cats were there, and Piccolo, and yeah. Real guy, Doug James, real cats, you know, and Ronnie Earl then came in after him, and I watched them like that. And Dave Maxwell was a very good friend of mine.
Mine too.
Yeah, and he did like one of the last gigs with me. My piano player dropped out of Arkansas, the King Biscuit Festival, and I called Dave, and I didn't know he was sick, and he came and did the gig. No, he came and did the gig, and then later, after the gig, I saw Margolin there, I guess, and he said, Dave's not well, man, you know. And I said, really, what? You know, and then people started telling me, because Dave was like any other musician. If people know I'm not well, they're not going to call me to play.
Well, Maxwell, Mark and I had a couple of gigs booked with him.
Yeah.
And yeah. So the last time the two of us saw him, we played a gig at a nursing home, and it's actually a beautiful, beautiful theater. It's about,
a young
it's about
blues,
4
blues
miles
audience.
from here. And I tell you what, it was one of the funnest shows I've ever done.
One of those places I'll never end up in.
Well, he will never be ever be replaced.
No.
Him and James Cotton, and I got to play with the two of those
But man,
guys.
the thing of it was, picture, okay, nursing home, captive audience. But here's David Maxwell just playing some of the heaviest stuff you've ever heard, and the three of us playing just trio. He's playing,
Honky Tonk Train and
Midlux Lewis, and all the
Twisted
Count
Tendons?
Basie and
Yeah,
James P.
Oh.
Johnson, and everybody, just incredible player. And this was 3 months before he died. And he was so deep.
And I play a little bit, and I would say, "How do you?" They goes, "Oh, it's easy, man."
Hey, what was it?
Oh,
Is he
God.
done?
God
You
bless
just
him.
give- yeah, oh.
So anyway, up here was, the Paul's Mall and all those joints.
Oh, yeah.
and all the great clubs and the original House of Blues up here when they actually had blues. Go figure.
In a house.
In the House of Blues. Go figure. you
Yeah,
know?
that was
And-
it was a house and it played
It
blues.
was very cool.
Yeah.
And so up here was always that, Jay Giles, Pete, those guys, Duke Levine. There was a guy when I was a kid, and I had a band like in high school, and and I don't know what happened to this guy, Sean Benjamin, that lived up here in the 70s. My friend went up to Boston and brought this kid down to New York, and he was like 15, and he was, and in those days they didn't make a big deal if someone was great at 15. Steve Winwood was making records, and Stevie Wonder at 15 and 16. Steve Winwood was 16. It wasn't a big deal. Oh, we found a protege. We found, he should be working. He's ready to go. Yeah, no, he's ready to go. And it was a young man's game even in Chicago. A lot of those guys were real young when they started playing under the older cats, man, like Junior Wells. When he came up, and he was junior
that's how
because he
it
was
worked.
15 or 14.
That's how it
Yeah.
worked in those days. That's
Yeah.
you, you were
but
14,
it's a
15 years old. You latched on to somebody. They brought you up. You felt latched on to somebody 30 years later.
And there's still guys here like Quinn Sullivan and Tyler Austin and those cats that are coming on. They're still coming on. So,
Sullivan's a great
yeah.
player. The
yeah.
the recorded stuff just
Well, no,
doesn't
but
doesn't work for
because
me.
all
but
kids, we forget they have to be kids. They're going to have influences. We can't expect a kid that's that good to be, he should only be into Buddy Guy and Jimmy Rogers and Jimmy Reed. He's got other influences coming in. This was John Mayer's thing. He wanted to be a songwriter too, though he's not enough to be a great guitar player. And now, he's doing less interviews, so he's
Yeah, which
because
is
he
really
got smart.
helpful.
He got smart.
Very helpful for
It's
him.
helpful because he needs to just play, and like these guys, when Buddy Guy says this, I'm taking this kid under my wing. You better listen to the kid. He's going to be fine. But he can't be
Quinn-
old-fashioned, he got.
Yeah, but that he does have some talent, and
yeah,
we know
for
this.
sure.
You hear him play, you know this. But
Oh,
I
yeah, for
played,
sure.
I played for a couple of years with him, and we did a string 1 week of like 3 or 4 sets every day, and I swear we did pretty much the same set every time, the same tunes every time, and every set we played, he got better. It was almost like he had this recording of what he had played in the last set, and he just kind of bettered on it, and just kept building on it.
Yeah, and this
It's
kid
kinda
Tyler
startling.
Morris is another
Because
one.
there's some kid that's 8 that's chasing
Like
him.
this band.
You know? There's some kid right now that's 8 years old. That's
Let's
like ready
let's
to
go into a little bit of the set tonight. You were, you brought up, and it's come up in here. It's come up in here probably 100 times, talking about Alan Lomax and the field recordings. But I think that you could probably put light on the fact that without that, that's a huge, huge chunk of American history that would be lost.
Yeah.
Not
Oh, sure.
American music history, American history that would be lost without Alan Lomax.
It would have been lost. And then there's always the naysayers. Like, oh, he didn't pay, whatever, This was more anthropology, archaeology, and
Without a doubt.
just like human beings saying, this is our history, than it was about anything else.
Those were cave drawings.
Yeah.
Those, those
and
were
to
essentially
be-
cave drawings.
To be quite honest, people who played music back then weren't thinking about a career so much. A lot of people were just on the farms and on the porch and on the in the fields, on the street corners, and they would make a record. There were places like Lillian who had trumpet records, and you just walk into the back of the deli, Cosimo Matassa, and you go back and you make a record. And you pay, like Elvis when he made his first record, you pay 75 cents, you take it home. I got a record.
I think Mark Texera made one of those when he was a kid.
Did you make one
Did
in the
you make
booth?
one in Rhode Island? Yeah.
Everybody wanted to make a record.
Yeah, well, a lot of times too, there were enough people that would hear that song, and then hey, give me that song right there. I'll give you a bottle of whiskey for that song, and you sold that song for a bottle of
Or
whiskey.
W.C. Handy, who was smart enough to publish all the things he was hearing. I mean,
St.
Which is
Louis
why
Blues.
the award is named
to
after him,
write it
because he
down
was the
and
only
publish
guy
it
that
and
actually.
make it part of the actual history, the written history.
You did a lot of different arrangements tonight. Did you arrange a lot of this stuff differently
We sort of
yourself?
deranged
There's that word spontaneity again.
It's
Yeah.
deranging is what it is. No, you take the song, like anything else, and you interpret the song. An actor will look at a script, and it'll come out 5 different ways with 5 different actors. If somebody's doing something classic, like we're covering some classic songs, I don't think that copy in the record. Then you have a piece of wax fruit when you bite into it. It's like not real. So you have to bring yourself into it, whatever you're doing. I have the Fab Faux band where we bring the Beatles songs to the stage, but we put ourselves into it too, and we don't wear wigs and suits. I can't imagine wearing a plastic nose and speaking with a liver pud, but I can imagine playing the music and bringing myself into it. And these guys too, and I say, if I send them and they just sing, now we have YouTube, so I send them like 40 songs each on YouTube. Learn these songs.
44.
Yeah, 44. Learn these songs, but know how they go, but don't play them like that. Play like you play. So it was that experiment that worked tonight. These weren't arrangements as much as a conversation between 3 people.
And a lot of improvisational conversation that was going on too. Yeah, for sure.
And that's what it is. I was big, like, I'm 63 now. When I was a kid, and I was lucky to be around when, Cream were playing and go and see those guys and watch them deconstruct the record that they made. Because like you said about the blues, when you said about, but the kids, this is how we feel, because we would hear a song like Sunshine of Your Love, the single, and go, it's kind of just like, it's so controlled. And then you go see them live, and they'd play the song, and in the middle, this shit would happen. And it's called jazz. It's like John Coltrane. Everybody was influenced at that time by Miles and Coltrane. And the idea with jazz to take the head, and then to go. And then when you're done with your like sort of just conversation, you go back to the head and close it out. So it's a sandwich. The song is a sandwich for this luscious thing in the middle that everybody, that's just a dance and a conversation. And sometimes you fall and you get up. Sometimes the other guy picks you up.
You hope.
You hope. And then there's always the drummer. You just got to wear him out.
It's a
Jimmy's
classic.
a great arranger. I
You
just
got
gotta
more
I
breaks
have to
than
inject
usual.
that. He's also a great arranger for all the improvisation that goes on. He's masterful at. He'll have so many arrangement ideas. Like last night, we jammed. We just mostly jammed on things. That he'll have 50 different ideas, and we have to remember, which one did we settle on?
We had this great thing we had worked out from Band of Gypsies, and then we all got here today. We couldn't remember what song it went in. It'll pop up over the next 2 weeks. You don't, do you? No, we don't. We don't know. We still don't know.
Classic at what you're talking about is Dylan.
Yeah.
It never. I mean, I would go see Bob Dylan with friends of mine that we were all like, just note for note Dylan heads and try and
Boy,
guess.
you in for a surprise. Yeah.
Try and guess the song. Who could guess it first? Because it was not even close to anything you've ever heard him play it that way before. And then you'd be like, yeah.
Well, you remember what he says to the English reporter in was it Don't Look Back?
Don't Look Back. Yeah.
And he says, you think you know me, you don't know me, you know my songs, you don't know me. And Bob's out to I've had great encounters with Bob Dylan. I think just to be insulted by Bob Dylan it's bigger than Rickles, So, it's a great thing. To be in the room and Bob Dylan comes across the room to say hello to you, and then to realize he just wants to get away from those people he's talking to. So to be the beard in that situation, yeah, let's get out of here, man. And it's it doesn't matter. Like I said, anything you expect, and he knows the audience is coming to expect it to be a certain way, and he's still trying to open your head to the fact that, and like we talked, it's the blues still. It doesn't go that way. It goes whichever way it goes that day, and that's.
Oh yeah,
he's still reading them too. It's great. It makes me feel good.
He's still writing lyrics to some of these songs. I mean, year after year.
He's still
after
one
year
of the
after
only
year.
people, him and Neil Young, I think, that, and there's probably more, but Van Morrison, that are as valid today as they were from their first record. And they maintain by staying out there. Willie Nelson, they're out there.
Willie's a good one. That's
and they're great, no matter what.
Yeah.
And they'll die on stage because that's where they live.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's where they live.
Hopefully.
They don't live in those houses and golf courses
No.
and stuff.
No.
Willie lives on the golf course, but
I want to talk to you about your version, the de-arranging of Hard Time Killing Floor.
Well, Killing Floor, of course. My first introduction was Mike Bloomfield playing it with the Electric Flag to it as a song. Nick sang it, and I loved it. Then I heard the Wolf version, where it came from. I think maybe I had heard the Hendrix really fast version too.
Well, there's a Skip James version.
Yeah. And that is Killing Floor. The Killing Floor, and the words are a little different, but it's about the same thing. Was that's Buddy Miles. That's Buddy Miles. Yeah, the Killing Floor, of course, is in the Slaughterhouse. Is and then John Sebastian and I, who have like a history of brotherhood. John says, it started back in the jug bands as the cooling board. Baby laying on the I'll be laying on the cooling board, which was where in the mortuary, where they put you. And down on the Killing Floor is where they would put the cow down. It's like as low as it could be. And Jimmy Reed used to work in a slaughterhouse and talked about that, and said it got so cold in Chicago that when they would cut the cow open and put their hands in there so they wouldn't have frostbite. And then you're gonna go. That's how you made your money, and then you're going to go play music for nickels, So we can co-opt it as much as we like, but we can never own it the way those guys can. I don't think anybody can own the blues anymore. We can all do it. We can do our version of it. We'd like to always recollect where it came from when you do it. It's
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I grasp onto
Well, I
that
mean,
completely, but that's a really interesting way.
Well, you bring your life into it. You know,
Yeah, but I think that there are people that can reinterpret this.
No, I'm saying everybody's blues is valid, but you have to watch what songs you sing. You know, sometimes, you know, some of it's really personal to a certain period of time,
For sure.
and a life. You know, but that's part of history too. You know, it's okay to do it, but write some of your own too. You know, and then you find that you mix it up nice. You know, the Butterfield Band did that nice. They were the first integrated band. It took them till 2 years ago to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, and that was a shame because
After Kiss.
it pushed Dylan into the electric
Oh
band
my God, yeah,
concept.
for sure, yeah.
You know, it's as a catalyst was so important, you know, and so overlooked for a long time.
Oh, Bloomfield, Cooper, and Stills were, you know, they
and Butterfield and Elvin Bishop and Bloomfield and Sam Lay and Jerome Arnold, and, you know, that was an amazing time. Mark Naftalin, like just these different, all these cats, they were like guys in college, that were playing with Howlin' Wolf, all playing together, young, you know, young 20, 19, Charlie Musselwhite, 16, 17 up there. So those guys made it okay for guys like me and all of us they made it okay. They opened the door to say, you can play this too. You can do this too, you know. And I would love to see it go on and on and on. I'm sad about what's going on with clubs and live music and blues. We try to keep it interesting. You know, we try to take it into a different way. Maybe it's louder, maybe it's more distorted, maybe it's faster, maybe it's got more rock and roll in it. You know, maybe it's got some. For me, it's always going to have some of the English influence in it. You know, because I'm grateful for what those guys, Yardbirds and Led Zeppelin and Cream. You know,
well, I think blues has a similar problem that folk music has, is that the gatekeepers of that are way too stiff and way too reluctant to.
But now we're calling it
allow
Americana instead.
Yeah, which
let's
the
name it.
gatekeepers of that
Yeah.
are the, you know, some of the most limited
I'm
of
trying
all.
to do stuff with. I'm doing something in L.A. In like October 19th, I think, and it's a benefit for the Americana Association and the Blues Project, the Blues Foundation together, and we're putting a show on to bring these two things together.
Finally.
And because guys like Taj Mahal, you know, who really was
Keb
up here
Mo.
in Cambridge, you know, guys like that have been doing folk music and blues together, and rock and roll, all three, and soul, and all of it, you know, and saying this is just American music.
Yeah, it's American
Yeah,
music.
and
and there's a tradition, there's a history, it's all storytelling. But each of these artists we're talking about had their own life and their own story to bring to it. And that's the thing that's exciting about this guy right here, is that he's drawing on all the tradition of American music and the deep history and the deep well of it, but he brings himself into it. And that's the whole tradition right there anyway. You know,
we had
it's-
an interesting discussion on this stage not long ago with an artist here from Boston, Kemp Harris. I don't know if you know Kemp.
I don't know.
72-year-old ex-kindergarten teacher, and got up on the stage and absolutely just torched this place. But we had a discussion about this very same thing that we're talking about right now, and it was white guy on stage, guitar singing, is folk singer. Black guy up on stage singing, he's a blues singer. And there's a reason
Josh
for
White
that.
wouldn't say that.
Well, no, but if you go back to the 1940s or 1950s, that's what it was, and that was a way of segregating without segregating.
Yeah.
That was a way of okay, well, this is the thing that's going to go in the record store in this aisle, and this is the thing that's going to go in the record. But they're all doing the exact same
But
thing.
when they found Mississippi John Hurt and Fred McDowell, and they found Skip James, and all these guys, and Son House around 1960, early 60s, when they found them, again, because they were working regular jobs, and it was guys like Alan Wilson from Canned Heat that went and found Son House, you know. Yeah, and and where did they bring him? They brought him to Newport, right? And they put him out there at the folk festival. There was no Newport Blues Festival. They didn't play the jazz festival. So folk always accepted country blues. They didn't accept electric blues. And that's where Bob got in trouble, you know? And apparently, there's a whole nother, Al Cooper claims that the reason they booed was because Bob played like 3 songs and got off. They were booing because, why such a short set, you know? Really, you know, the mythology. Bob, I imagine Albert Grossman made that story up. Because it stinks of Albert's PR. He was brilliant, saying, look, let's say the people booed because you were playing electric, and let's make a controversy, you know. This is how we keep you in the newspapers. You know, I don't believe that people booed Bob that electric performance because they loved the Butterfield Band that afternoon. When they played, they were the first one.
Well, there's live recordings of that.
Yeah.
I think I tend to think more along the lines.
I know because you know there's those heads, those folk heads.
Yeah.
That don't want but they don't want anything to change.
No.
You know, but those are the guys that were singing the, you know, sing-alongs at, you know, with Pete Seeger and, you know, and all that. Yeah.
Pete was there. Yeah,
Of course Pete was there.
Yeah.
And then there was Albert had a big fist fight with in the back of the. That was for sure.
Let me ask you this.
It's all healthy though, because we're still talking about it.
Well, yeah, for sure. You're up here doing this tonight, which was just an absolutely incredible set of music. I mean, it was great.
But we had. I got to say, we really appreciate that. You know, and Yank Rachel, who I loved dearly. You know, John Sebastian called me one day. And this
Didn't
is
he
what
do tapping that thing?
Tapping that thing.
Yeah.
And John called me, and this is a typical call from Sebastian nowadays. Jimmy, guess who's alive? Right? And I say, I don't know who. He goes, Yank Rochelle is alive. He's in Indiana. I'm going to call Fritz Richmond. Fritz played Jug in our band, and he was from the you know, he played with Jim Queskin's band with Muldar, you know. So I know all those guys. Queskin and Muldar and Maria, and he said, let's get Fritz, and we'll get Wormy to play washboard, and we'll get on a plane, and we'll go to Indianapolis and find Yank. So we go, and we found a studio that we could bring him in and record him. Let's find him. So we get there, and there's a great chair in the studio. It looks like King Arthur's chair. It's like big wooden arms with the back way up here with a crown on top, and Yank gets there, a car pulls up, and a bunch of church ladies with food come out, and they bring plates of food in first, and then they say, we have to get Yank upstairs, and one guy says, let's take that chair. So they take the chair, and they open the door, and they put Yank, and he looks like an Ethiopian king, and they stick him in this chair, and they lift the chair, and they start walking towards the door, and Sebastian and I are looking out the window at this. And John turns to me and says, we can still run out the back door. And they bring him up these stairs into the studio, and we recut Tapping That Thing, Texas Tony, a couple of things, you know. And that's when Yank told me the story about I and Hammy made believe we were Muddy Waters and we made a pile of bread, man. And then I said, oh yeah, you worked with Hammy Nixon. He goes, no, Hammy worked for me. So it was, you know, every chance I got from when my friend Brian was road managing Muddy Waters in the 70s to sit at the feet of the Kings and just be quiet and watch what went on and get to, you know these cats. I was fortunate that in Hubert, Sumlin, Johnny Johnson, Sun Seals, and Otis Rush, a whole bunch of people that James Cotton loved him dearly. That I got to know and play with, and in the end of their careers, you know, not in the 50s or 60s or even 70s. In the 80s and 90s, I got to play with some of these guys, and you learned a lot of things, a lot of stuff from these guys. Albert King, you know, just behave, you know, and BB, the nicest Another thing happened with the church. With Al Cooper and I opened for B.B. King at the Universal Amphitheater when it was still enclosed in L.A. in like '79 or something. And we went, and Al says, because he knows BB a long time, let's go downstairs and talk to BB. So we go downstairs, and we're talking to BB, and it's just great. And here they come again, church ladies with plates of chicken and food. They're paying tribute to BB King. They're bringing him food. Well, have some food, fellas, you know. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm eating chicken with BB King. So
I hear you, man. I hear you.
I don't ever want to wash these hands, man.
I had the same feel. I interviewed Solomon Burke.
Oh.
It was like
Wasn't he?
it was like the Ethiopian king. I was like thinking to myself, man, I get emails from you telling me you're going to send me $12 million. All you need is my bank account number. I'm thinking,
man,
you are the Nigerian
brilliant.
prince. Oh, great,
You
the
know,
greatest
and
interview.
I did some gigs with him, and he would always take us all into the and say a prayer, you know, and say a prayer. And he was smart. He was a preacher.
Yeah, yeah.
And a mortician. And yes,
Same thing.
And when Solomon Burke, he had his band on the bus, and Solomon Burke had a cooler full of soda, you know, like sodas and sandwiches for the band. But he was selling them to his guys. And you guys thirsty? You guys hungry? and he brilliantly told the owners of the Apollo Theater he would not play there unless he had the popcorn and soda concession. And they acquiesced. They buckled and he made more money selling popcorn and soda. You know, he was like doing a big commercial for popcorn and soda. Anybody hot in here or need some popcorn, you know? And then what a great, he was one of the guys, him and Sam Moore, people that and William Bell, these great singers, that they sing like time has stood still. Their vocals, their singing is as great as ever. They're church-trained singers, man.
Yeah. They're the greatest always are.
The
Aretha
greatest
Franklin.
singers. Sam Moore.
Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke, yeah.
You know, all those guys.
Bobby Womack, all those cats,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
were, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Al Green, yeah, they're all from the church. We were watching Aretha today when she was 19 with the Ray Bryant trio when she came
That was
up.
where you had to go to hear Hammond.
Yeah.
You had to go to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
that or a bar in Jersey.
Had to go to.
Because every bar in New Jersey that my father took me to when I was a kid.
Where in Jersey are you from?
Patterson originally, and there was organ lounges everywhere.
I'm
My
from
father
Jersey,
would
too.
take us to see music like that. You know, we'd have a birch beer, you know. My father had a beer, and we had a birch beer. And then
Probably
sometimes he'd take a
Cott's
little bit of
birch
that
beer.
Pabst and just like pour a little into your birch beer, you know. Today, the guy sitting next to him would have him in court for.
When'd you leave Patterson?
I left not till 64 or something, you know. And then moved to like just a suburb of Patterson, but never left because my grandparents lived there, and
So you were there for Hurricane.
Oh yeah, was there for Reuben Carter. Yeah.
I grew up
And
just
we
south
thought
of
Floyd Patterson was from Patterson too, but he wasn't.
No.
But we said he was.
So
Yeah.
tell me, one question I had for you was: this is the East Coast blues soul rockers.
Yeah.
So when you go to other parts of the country, are you?
Well, because I started as the West Coast. I had a band on the West Coast.
Right.
That we started doing it, and it wasn't like it was good, but it's L.A. and it sucks, you know. And I'll say it, and I'll back it up that people don't go out.
It's no Norwood.
No, they don't. Well, no, it isn't. And by the way,
this is the center of the universe.
by the way, how dare you not say Norwood?
Route 1 and
Norwood. He
Nor-
sounds like he's from Jersey. Norwood.
I almost am.
It's no Norwood.
20 miles north.
No, it isn't, though. It isn't. The problem there is I was trying to do like a residence, like a weekly thing, and people would say, "Oh yeah, well, I'll come next week then." Well, I'm here for the month. Oh, the month. Maybe the last week of the month I'll come. You know, because you got to get in your car and drive. You know.
Yeah.
God forbid, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And leave the television and the couch and the computer and everything else and go and see some live music, you know.
We don't have a problem with that in this room. No.
Well, this is unique, and this is a unique situation where we're like in a living room, you know, it would be nice if there were more places to play like this. So yeah, the West Coast band, I did like a string of gigs with the West Coast band. I really, really had a good time.
You're going to bring this, through like the Midwest, Chicago. You're going to bring this through. I mean,
Well,
New Orleans would eat this up in the heart.
I do it in Chicago now and then with some of Kate Moss or Nick Moss's people.
Nick's been here several
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, Dennis Grunling playing.
Oh yeah,
harp with him.
Dennis was here not long ago.
And Wayne Baker Brooks and Ronnie Brooks are like brothers to me. I know them from when they were kids, man. And Lonnie was like family to me. So when I go there, I get Little Ed, those guys. They're all like the Chicago is still
Little Ed's
very.
awesome.
My heart is in Chicago. I wish that Chicago's heart was in the blues as much as it used to be.
Right.
But then everything changes, it's at
lot of
least they
guys-
still have Wrigley, and you
Yeah.
still have Fenway.
We still have Fenway.
So that
Although
makes
I'm a
you
Yankees
feel,
fan.
Well, but that's okay. I'm a fan of Yankees and Red Sox beating each other up.
Yeah,
I
which
wanna
is
see that this year.
You know what?
Yeah.
Look, it's never
It makes
it's
it
never
exciting.
as fun as when the Red Sox and the Yankees are both great.
No, and
it
TV
really is
knows
never
that
as
too.
fun.
The revenues are up
Yeah.
on it. But anyway, in Texas, I have a lot of friends in Austin, and I've been, if I go to Austin, I play with Jimmy Vaughn and Mike Flanagan and, those guys, man. George Raines. Jimmy's Lounge Trio.
Oh, yeah,
At
for
Seaboys.
sure.
So I'll go and sit in with play with those guys, and I have a lot of other friends. Paul Osher lives there now, and a lot of people. I think maybe Sue Foley moved there.
She's
there.
still with Peter Karp?
No, she's.
She's not together with Peter anymore?
You mean as a band?
Yeah.
Are we talking about something else here? I don't
Well,
wanna get into
they were they were a band, and then they were a couple, and then they were not a couple anymore, but we're still a band, and now I don't know what.
Well, I know
I've
that,
lost
I know
track
that,
of that.
I know that my friend Mike Flanagan, who's a fantastic organ player from Austin, is close with her.
But she's
and-
great. She's
yeah,
awesome.
She's
Yeah.
really great, and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she needs to get more out here more. Out everywhere more.
Out everywhere more.
Well, and Texas is great, but again, like Texas is like New Orleans, where people just stay there and they never leave. They never go outside of Texas and play. New Orleans has that problem too, That
Well, now everybody in Austin is going to Houston to play because you can make actual money. You can't,
that's-
you
that's
can't make
cool.
money in Austin anymore. So now you got to go to Houston or
I've
San
never seen so
Antonio.
many good guitar players in my life as that town, man.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
frightening.
yeah.
Luckily we can entertain because we can't. I can't sling guns. I'm too old to pull out to see who's faster or who can play more, stuff that's
No, you were,
mind-blowing,
No,
So I would rather just play what I feel like playing.
you
and,
were not getting
yeah.
paid by the note tonight. You know exactly where you're.
Well, you can't.
Where
I
your
think like
pocket is.
a horn section more.
Yeah.
Because I'm a trumpet player first, and I like to think in the rhythm of horns a bit, in the rhythm.
Well, you can tell
And James
you're-
Brown, that was big for me. That whole concept of playing guitar.
I can tell by the way you play guitar that it's coming from somewhere else. It's
Well,
whether
that-
it was keys or whether it was a.
But having a rhythm section that good allows you to relax and play a 2-note chord fragment instead of a full chord. The West Coast Blue Soul Rockers. No,
But
those guys are
Jimmy's
good.
got the whole band in his playing, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Even when he's sitting there playing.
Well, that's
Oh,
why
yeah,
we
for
did-
sure.
We had the nerve to play Shape I'm In as a trio. So I got to say that was fun, And the audience too is the X factor, because the audience fills in a lot of information. What
So
they know.
does that change your playing? Because now you're playing. This
Smiles,
audience,
too.
this audience responds, and Jesse's seen this
Yeah,
many times.
yeah.
This audience responds different. I'm 40 years into this now, and this audience reacts different than any audience I've ever seen. In terms of, there's no TVs on. There's nothing else
Well,
going on
they're
here
not coming here
except-
for anything but the music.
Right, exactly. And then
the
you
food.
and they'll pick up on things.
Yeah.
They pick up on things that other audiences might
Yeah.
miss.
You walk into a room and you go, oh no, a pool table,
Yeah.
and sports bar, like.
Oh, there's
yeah,
a
there's
TV,
all the
there's a
sound
TV on the
stations
back of the
everywhere.
stage.
There's
one
so
place
many-
I stopped playing in L.A. because I got there one day to set up, and they're playing like Trivial Pursuit on a giant screen, and the place is packed.
That's when you're playing a slow blues and,
And
people
then
start
I'm
clapping.
setting up my amp, and I start making some noise, And the guy comes over that's running. Oh, we're playing like Trivial Pursuit over here. I said, really? Trivial Pursuit ends, the joint empties out. Nobody stayed to see the music. Nobody or hear the music.
If they only
It's a
knew.
drag.
So you can't be if you're a place that's for music, that's what people come to see, you know, and that's or to hear, let's say, that's important. So that's why these people that are here tonight, that's what they came for,
Right.
you know? So and that's nothing can replace that, and that's the old jazz clubs were like that in New York, and the old spots in New York were like that for years. When we played, we had Manny's Car Wash, and we had Chicago Blues, and we had the Lone Star, and we had the Winterland, and there was like 10 places in the 70s and 80s, more, 10, 12 places to play. And it was just about music.
You're there for that experience.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah, then the whole idea like of Velvet Ropes and discos and stuff kind of wrecked that, you know, but yeah.
As we lament that. Jimmy, I want to thank you, man, for taking the time to be here
thanks.
tonight. It was an awesome experience.
Thanks for
Great
the shirt.
to have you.
I need it. I had no idea it would be so sweaty. That's success. That means the show's going well.
Did you have a good time?
Oh, we had a great time. Yeah. So,
back at the end of the tour and do it again.
yeah, we should come back after we rehearse for 2 weeks. And do it
Okay.
again. Yeah. It might be a good idea.
Okay.
We may have a
You
whole
guys come
different
back.
set.
We'll be
but
back
I'll
in
tell
2
you what,
weeks,
we won't
okay?
repeat a song. That'll be good, yeah.
We'll all be here.
It could be.
Jesse, Mark Teixeira, great to have you guys here. Fabulous
Bill.
show tonight.
Hey, I know you guys
Great job.
appreciate Bill Hurley here, but put your hands together, Bill Hurley.
40 years, really. Yeah.
You know, a lot of the guys you talked about tonight, I worked for Atlantic Records for many, many, many years, and then when I left, I started a blues label up in New Hampshire, and I had Hubert Sumlin, and I had Pine Top, and I had David Maxwell.
What was the name of that label?
95 North.
Okay. So you had all. Did you ever get? Did you? People should hear this. I mean, Hubert, you know, had one time he had 3 records deals at the same time. You were probably one of them, and the guys were chasing each other. Saying, "What do you mean you just made another? We didn't even put yours out yet." Well, they asked me to come and record a record. I said,
You know, it was, well, except for Maxwell, you're absolutely right on that, because that's what the Pine Top thing was. I mean, and then we did I had this wild idea, and I went through about 6-8 months of negotiating with General Motors, and then we were the only music project in the 110-year history of General Motors that they ever endorsed. And we called it Finn's Chrome in the Open Road. We did a tribute to the Cadillac. And we had Maria Muldaur and Charlie Musselwhite and Rory Block, Little Milton, Mike Welch, David Maxwell, the Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
All of those people wrote music for that album. And I had a list of like 50 Cadillac songs. I'm like,
And there
well,
were
here's
so many
here.
already.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, here, just look, just pick
Oh.
one. And everybody was like, well, fuck that, man. If I'm going to do something this cool, I'm writing my own. Charlie wrote his own. Rory wrote her own.
Oh, yeah, a Cadillac is inspirational.
It was
any.
Mercury is pretty good, too.
My uncle had the one.
You
with
know, Mercury Blues tonight, that was killer, man.
that's
That
you know
was
that's an
fucking
old.
killer.
I think Steve Miller discovered the guy that first recorded that in Dallas, and then I hooked into Lindley's version. which
Lindley's was the
best version,
classic version of that for sure, man. That was the
And
was the
'cause
version.
Car songs are cool. I have one. I keep forgetting my own. Going to Heaven in a Pontiac. We have to play that one.
You should put
Strike
that
up-
in the set.
strike
Don't
up the
need a
band.
Cadillac.
Oh, wait, here we go. Oh, here we go. Here, have a copy.
Oh, here it is. The
Here
Cadillac.
it is. Here it is.
Ah, now let's see.
David Maxwell, and he had Kim Wilson and Nicole Nelson on that, which was great. Maria
Is that
Mulder.
Rosie Flores?
Rosie
Yeah.
Flores. You know,
I do know her. And,
you know who she did that song with? The band was BR549 that she recorded that with.
okay.
Yeah, here.
Thank you.
Gotta have it.
There.
My car still plays CDs, you know.
Yeah, I still have a CD player too.
It's not a Cadillac though. It's a Prius.
Well, you know what?
Bluesmobile.
It'll be a Cadillac on the way home tonight. Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. Let's hear it again. One more time. Connor, roll the credits. Great job, guys.